Good morning, everybody. This is John Sfiokla from GAI Insights with our Gen AI news briefing this morning. We've got some interesting news, everything from new kinds of partnerships to sales support. I welcome our team of AI analysts. We're going to go through what we have sitting in front of us here today and see if we can't make your day more interesting and efficient. So, first, we've got a story of what I think is our friend at Microsoft, Nadella, doing another interesting strategic move. I'm going to ask Paul to lead this off. And Ankash, if you could tell us the article, please.
Sure, John. So the first one that we have for today is from Microsoft and Inflection.ai. So Microsoft has poached Inflection's Mustafa Suleiman, the CEO, to lead Microsoft AI initiative.
Paul, where are you on this?
This is optional, but it's just breathtaking. I mean, the loyalty, quote loyalty, that VCs expect out of the entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are supposed to show the VCs is stunning. This is $1.3 billion that was raised, very high profile, from a very senior, experienced person, and he and his chief person just left, and went to Microsoft. So I think it's a huge coup for Microsoft, and again shows that venture-backed companies is high stakes and do not believe claims of loyalty on either side of the thing.
I mean, and 1.3 billion in June of last year. I mean, and this is the parent for Poe. For those of you who don't know what inflection is,
Pi.
other reactions.
Pi, not Poe.
Oh, Pi. Sorry.
Yeah.
Poe is Quora's Quora's generative AI. I guess I agree this is optional because I don't think any AI leaders really even had had Pi on their radar, right? I was just flabbergasted by this, and I'm just wondering what Reid Hoffman is thinking right now.
No, David, I think it's even more than that. I mean, I think we keep talking about that the real war is the three cloud wars. And if this is the talent grab right and left, what's Amazon and Google going to do to re-up this? Are they going to go out to Mistral and spend $500 million in cash to gut that company, or AI 21 Labs? It's breathtaking.
Yeah, well, I think Satya Nadella has brought back to Microsoft, the absolutely ruthless, high elbow, smack in the face strategy that Bill Gates had before he became, greenwashed with his charities, right? I mean, I had heard, never been able to confirm, that in the early days of Microsoft, when he would go after people, Gates, they would have a non-compete. They couldn't come to him. He would pay them to not work at the competitor. So non-compete didn't include not working. So you would just give them money to do nothing. So I think we're back there with old Satya. He's got a nicer smile than Bill did, but my goodness, he's hardball.
Yeah, and inflection is going to flounder and die. So this is sad. Sigh.
I agree it's optional news. Optional news. I'm not sure Inflection's going to flounder, though. I think they're definitely going after a different market. They're going after retail. They're going after basically a companion app, right? And they're actually the news we saw a couple weeks ago about their new version. It was on par with GPT-4 in terms of its level of reasoning. So if they already have that and they have new stewardship that can guide this retail momentum, they might pick up a big part of the market and not have to do that really hardcore heavy AI development on the side, why the CEO and the rest of the team's really leaving to go over to Microsoft. So I'm optimistic, maybe a little too optimistic that Pi still has life to it, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. And who knows how much of the cash they have left, and they probably have equity handout. I can't believe anybody's equity vesting will hold, from 2022 when they started this whole thing. So anyway, we shall see, but got to love old Satya Nadella and his crew, man. He's going hard. Other thoughts? Anything else urgent or important in this before we give it an optional and a great kind of soap opera promise? All right. Next one. Ankash, take us to the next article, please.
Okay. So the next one is from video games and the NPC space. So basically, Ubisoft is letting people speak with the NPCs in video games.
All right, Adam, you want to take us through this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's cool. If people have some spare time and they want to watch the demo, it's optional news. But it's a nice glimpse into the future of embodied AI and how we're going to be interacting with chatbots all over the place, right? It's a lot like the chatbots you already see out there. It's just a little more clever, right? Because it has a large language model behind it. And when I say a chatbot, I mean an actual avatar. If you scroll down or back up a little, Ankash, there's a picture of one, right? That we can see what we're talking about. But it's well rehearsed, it's obviously well trained, and it has objectives. It'll make video gaming a little more immersive, a little more fun possibly, but it's optional news.
They still have some work to do to match the emotions on the character's face with what it's saying. I watched the video, and I mean, it's impressive what comes out of its mouth, but it's definitely creepy still because the expressions are kind of like awkward. The pauses and such, the latency didn't bother me so much. You kind of expect that, but the nature of it, and of course what he was talking about too, right? He's trying to convince the journalist to like join some like resistance fight, and the journalist kept trying to tell it why it shouldn't. It was like, oh, I have a family and 2 kids, and they programmed this the character to just be like relentless, right? And it was just
Very
like,
persuasive.
yeah.
Well, Michael Novak's making the case, and our audience is making the case that this is new, that voice is the new interactive. So, what do you guys think of that observation?
I mean, yes, I like, we're definitely moving toward that with everything, right? And even you look at the new hardware coming out, I know that they're not that great yet, but the pin and the glasses and everything, there's no keyboard anymore, right? So we're definitely moving towards voice interaction, but like we have been for a while now. So I'm not sure that that's a new development, but it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, Michael notes that you get over 12 biomarkers for emotion and health in voice. It's just a very intimate medium. All right, I'm going to go for optional, but it is an important area. I was just thinking about all the wonderful ways you could use this for disinformation and recruiting of young people for bad ideas. Anyway, we'll leave that for now. We're good for optional. Anybody gonna have a heart attack over that? All right, optional it is. So in the area to keep an eye on. All right, Ankash, next please.
Okay. The next one is from Google DeepMind. So they have launched a new model called Tactic AI, which is an AI assistant for football tactics.
All right, David.
Yeah, so I will admit soccer is not my sport. I'm kind of very American in my choices with baseball and American football, but I do know enough to know what they're referring to here, which is they basically will look at the corner kick, which is when the ball goes past the goal line in the back but doesn't actually score a goal. The player can go on the corner and kick the ball in, and it's a good opportunity to potentially score because it's on the side of the goal that they need to get. So they kick the ball in, and then hopefully somebody headbutts it in or whatever, and they get a goal. I mean, it's pretty impressive that it basically will simulate out what would happen if you were in a particular position and where you kicked it, and it will say like the probability of somebody on the defense actually coming in and taking it, etc. So it's just another step, right, in sports analytics and sports in general, and even the ones that I said I watch, particularly baseball, have been heavy in AI and analytics for a while now. For the executive, it shows how you can use this for strategizing, right? And I mean, not this particular tool necessarily, but in general, we know that you can use these tools to play out a scenario and kind of figure out what your move might be. So I don't know that I would go important on this. I suppose I could be convinced, but I think I would go optional. And just another note that DeepMind is behind this. They collaborated with the soccer team, Liverpool, to create it.
Yeah. Other folks.
I tried to stretch a little bit and think about how this could be important. And I think I'm still on the edge and leaning towards optional, but they're applying both predictive and generative AI models. And when you look at the applications cross industry and into other verticals, it's things like predictive analytics, data analysis and interpretation, pattern recognition, real-time decision support, optimization of algorithms, strategic planning, dynamic adaptation to changing conditions. Like, there's a ton of very, very relevant, applicable technology that's being used here. But you have to think really outside the box and laterally, and especially with something like DeepMind behind it, they're certainly going to be doing that, right? So this is a use case, but when you look under the hood, there's actually some pretty powerful technology being stitched together here. That's my case for important. I probably still vote optional on this specific news, but what do you think?
Yeah, and a new model in terms of the graph network that they use to train the thing. So I'm leaning toward important because look, here's an example, and it's also it's not just a lab thing. 90% of the coaches who looked at this thing preferred the plan put together by the AI. I mean, that's pretty impressive because corner kicks is something they studied for a long time. And I'm sure there's a lot of received wisdom on how to do it and a lot of technique. I just think this is, to me, back to our wins article in Harvard Business Review. Here's an organization holding a lever, right? They're using AI for one of the most important ways that you score goals, and just tuning that to get a competitive advantage. So I would say important. Plus, it's a fun example. Anybody going to get dough, wants to make a case and make it, human interesting for folks who aren't, for executives who own the budget but don't worry about the technology. I mean, I think this is a useful case. So I would go for important.
I can back important. I was close to optional, but as a use case, I agree. It also spells out the path they took. It took them 3 years. Mm-hmm. And they reiterated and put iterated and put a lot of different techniques to optimize the tool. So it is not a simple task and requires serious thinking to get a competitive advantage. But it just says, if you put these tools together in the right way, you certainly can get a competitive advantage. And that's why it's very powerful. So
yeah. All right, so we're going to give it an important. The other thing is, you think about this DeepMind team. My goodness, they conquered Go. They did AlphaFold, right? I mean, this is an impressive crew. I mean, they've tackled some problems that people thought were unsolvable, or unimprovable. It's just
they just need a better product team and some other roles in Google, and maybe they can actually stop screwing up and do something good with this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know who was on the hook in the Google. Maybe it was the bureaucracy at Google that made that happen. But anyway, who knows? All right. So that's important on Kosh. Let's head for the next one.
Okay. The next one is from HP. So HP has unveiled some new software with the NVIDIA GTC going on.
Luda, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I rated it optional. It's a product announcement. It's a combination of tools, HP and NVIDIA. So it's vertically integrated platform, which is I think will be very useful. However, if you read this article, it's very difficult to understand how they're going to really combine these tools. So and they understand it themselves that this is a problem, and it will have people attached to it to try to stitch those tools together. And it's a pay per use model. So it's a good opportunity for HP existing users to faster develop the AI tools across and deliver them to production. So I think it is a good use case, but we'll see what happens. So it's optional though, in my book.
We have to start rating these things as, would the article have been better written by a robot And there's no question in my mind they should have given this thing to the robot. The robot would have.
Absolutely. I have to say, one of the ones about NVIDIA yesterday, too, was a little head scratching as well from TechCrunch. It's like they just picked up like whatever the PR was and like slapped it into the article. And it's like, yeah, ChatGPT could have made it like a little more compelling, understandable, you know, use the tools, folks.
I love it. One of the indicators of humanity will be incompetence. I love it. Okay. So we have an optional on the table here. What do folks think? Paul, I know you're going to say this is essential.
Absolutely not. Optional.
Optional. All right. A poorly written, smushed together, must issue PR announcement by HPE, taking the greatness of Hewlett Packard down another notch one more time. Okay. Not to be judgmental or anything. Optional it is. Next.
Okay, the next one is from Databricks. So Databricks has acquired Lilac, and they will use its data management capabilities for GenAI apps.
Well, no grass is growing under our friends at Databricks. Adam, what do you think? Lilac for unstructured data.
You know, I think this is optional news, but it seems like Databricks just keeps showing up. It keeps making moves, and we keep calling it optional news. And at some point, we got to tell people to pay attention to what's going on over there. You know.
Yeah.
So Lilac is Lilac helps with data quality. So it's going to help them understand data sets and find the right ones for a task. It's going to help with data exploration and quality control. There are other people who are using it to help refine and select data sets to train models. So it really strengthens Databricks' position in market against their lead competitor, who is, I think, Snowflake is their name, who's making similar moves and bringing similar product to market. So it's in many ways a competitive defensive move on their part, but also a very smart one. I'm not sure to what extent we would want to go and say it's important news, though, at this point.
I would absolutely go important.
All right.
For several reasons. See, data is critical for all of the AI apps. And still, there were a whole bunch of challenges in figuring out sense out of unstructured data. So what Lilac did, very, very senior, good team, what Lilac did is essentially put a very natural user interface to be able to put the unstructured data into the structured quality data, let's put it this way. So it's an announcement of an acquisition, but Databricks has now a platform with open LLMs, with other things, and really quality data and navigation tool. This is becoming really, really powerful. Snowflakes is doing the same. It is imperative for our audience to know that this is happening. So now they can actually use their unstructured data, put it together. It's private. They can use any LLM on the platform. It's really getting to be really powerful. So they need to know that. Important in my book.
Paul, do I remember right that Databricks is coming to our MIT event?
Yes, they are coming, and they also spent 1.3 billion for Mosaic ML, I think, last year. So they are really.
And just a couple of weeks ago, invested in Mistral as well.
Correct.
Put money into Mistral.
I mean, they were right there with Microsoft and doing shrewd moves in the marketplace, in my opinion.
Well, I think the whole data supply chain is just such an interesting and active area, and our friends over at the large healthcare payer that we're working with, we'll be publishing some on that as soon as it gets released. But their multi-year attention to the data supply chain, I think, is essential in their Gen AI strategy. And that's true, I think, across organizations. All right. Let's do a field promotion here. We're going for important on old Databricks.
Finally, we elevate them to
elevate to important. I'm sure it'll be news at Databricks. Okay. Awesome. Akash, last one coming up.
Okay, the last one is from Quilt. So Quilt is building AI assistants for different solution teams.
All right. Paul, as a fellow peddler, what do you think here?
It's optional, but boy, I am very interested in watching this tool develop. It's clearly a important problem, but it's optional right now so they get more customers.
All right. Well, anything else? I've got some opinions here, but other folks?
I just think it's interesting. So, Mr. Chen here obviously was with Andreessen Horowitz, and so high profile person, of course, and very knowledgeable. But we're at the point where not we, but TechCrunch and others are reporting on these companies that are like so super young, right? There's 6 people, it said, in this company right now. So high profile. I mean, they got some money, right? Not a ton.
This is a favor article. And Dreesen called these guys and said, do me a favor and publish this.
So that alone makes me want to call it optional until they've actually got like even more money and, their actual product is out there.
It's optional, all right. The question in my mind can this really be optimized at that particular angle? Because it's so dependent on the customer. So analyzing customer needs and blah, blah, blah. It's just a very good try. I think I'm with Paul. I would love to hear more about this particular tool.
I think a challenge, I think the best use case, Luda, will be for the mid and lower tier. So when I'm in a company, we have 45 quota carrying reps that are, 250, 300 at plan, 50% variable, and the top RFP comes in. The SEs only go to work for the very largest ones, and everyone else is out there swim. So they're working with no SEs or doing the best they can. So I see this as a really help for them.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, all I said is we'll see.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. A mutual friend of mine and Paul's, Ben Shapiro, just retired from Harvard Business School not long ago, and he's world expert in industrial selling. And this issue of the tech support and systems, solutions engineer is so central because do they get absorbed serving existing clients or go out and create new clients? I don't know. I'm a little more optimistic. You can make them somewhat more productive, as we've seen in some of our case examples from our learning lab. And it's such a high leverage point for organizations. So, yes, let's give it optional. It's just 6 folks, and it's early days. But, man, it is, to me, an essential topic for organizations. All right, so where are we? We're looking at, rats leaving a sinking ship or maybe not a sinking ship, but whatever. Microsoft eviscerating Inflection for its current management team. Ubisoft, optional. Interesting, but just part of a trend. Tactical AI is important for football tactics. New models and so forth. HPE, nothing burger in terms of a poorly written announcement. Databricks finally makes it to the important ranks. They'll be happy to hear in the data supply chain. And Quilt, good topic, but early on, small company. So there we have it. Thanks to our AI analysts. I also want to make sure you can subscribe to our newsletter, GAIinsights.com/news-1-0. That's GAIinsights.com/news-1-0 to get the summary of this. And any other announcements or from our community to tell to our audience here? All right. Looks like we're all set. Thank you all. Talk to you tomorrow morning.